So hello, everyone. My name is Nicole Weber, and I am the city staff assigned to redistricting. I had the pleasure of working on with the districting commission the last time. So I guess Mayor Franklin decided I could just continue that work, which is exciting because I think that this is an awesome opportunity to really understand how voting works and how our community engages with the election process. I sent out an agenda. I hope that you all received it. I think so, because you're here. And I also sent out a piece of community comment that has already come in that I hope you all received as well. So the first item on the agenda is roll call. And so I'm just going to read through for the record. I know we just did a sound test, but I'm going to read through again for the official record. And you can just say here. And we'll start with Scott Bader.
Here.
Susan Neely.
Here.
Nathan Shelby.
Here.
Jocelyn.
Here.
What's I didn't pull it right now.
Severs Bailey is official.
Severs Bailey.
Yes.
I was gonna say just Severs, and then I was like, oh, that's not right. Simone Tarver.
Here.
Leah Art. Is that correct?
It's Air. I'm here.
Jared, and I didn't write down your last name either.
I'm here, and it's Sites.
And then Anna Benitez.
Benitez, yes.
Great. Thank you so much, everyone. My only comments today are to present you the agenda, which I already sent, and just remind everyone, if you haven't watched the OPMA video, it's really important to understand the rules around that. And if you have questions, I can bring in our legal team to answer any questions you might have. So if something comes up you don't understand, you want clarification on, we can have a guest come in and make sure that we understand how all of that works. The next thing we'll do to get started and kind of get to know each other is just go around, introduce yourself to your fellow commissioners, and just say why you wanted to be a part of the redistricting commission, why it's important to you, and hopefully what you plan to get out of it. And we'll go in reverse order this time. So we'll start with Anna.
Okay, so I am really excited to join this redistricting commission because I am part of this neighborhood, and I know that we need so many changes, and we need to have a community. So I am passionate about equity and inclusion, and I think we need to work on that a lot. So yeah, I'm here because of my passion and just the community sense for my daughter, that she's only 2, and I want her to be and grow with really nice people and community, and really, yeah, like that.
Thank you, Anna. And then we'll go Jared.
Hi, yeah, I just want to get more involved in our community, and I thought this was a good way to start. And that's pretty much it.
Great. Thank you, Leah.
Hi, I'm Leah, and I'm a data and financial analyst, and I've been looking for an opportunity for a while to serve my city and bring my data skills home. And I was ecstatic to get the call and learn that I was going to be on the commission.
Thank you. Simone.
Good evening, everyone. So I wanted to apply this year because I had such a great time with Nicole and the rest of the commission last year when we went through the process the first time. And I was really interested in it then, and I'm interested in it now because I'm a lifelong Everett resident, and this process just seemed so important that I wanted to be able to be a part of it and, you know, have my voice be heard and to help other people have their voices be heard. So look forward to working with all you.
Thank you, Simone. Nathan.
How are you? Nathan Shelby, District 3. I have been in as a resident, I think, for about 6.5, we're going on 7 years here. I am involved at the animal shelter, and I like being involved in my community. So this was another opportunity where I could give back, spend most of my time in IT. So be able to do this and make sure, again, like Simone said, that everybody's got a voice. It's terribly important because democracy is critical, and it's a wonderful thing. And the more participation we have, the better it is for everybody.
Thank you. Scott Bader.
Yeah, I obviously know the city pretty well. I've doorbelled the whole city for three times at least, and love maps and data as well. I think my family was afraid I might have too much free time, so they wanted me occupied a little more here. So glad to have the opportunity to do this, and I just respect the work that the previous commission had done, and hope we can go forward with that. Thanks.
Thanks, Scott. And then we'll go Jocelyn and then Susan.
I'm Jocelyn. It's nice to meet all of you. I have lived in Everett my whole life, except for 2 years I was in California finishing up college. Being a lifelong resident and growing up here, I find that it is an amazing community to live in, and I wanted to get my feet wet and just start. And I thought the commissioning committee would be a good way to start with getting active in our community. So I look forward to working with each of you.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Okay. Hi, I'm Susan, and I have recently retired and was looking, like others, for an opportunity to serve. And I saw the announcement in the Herald and thought I would give it a try. And my work was a lot of analysis and policy and public. I worked for the county for, I think, altogether 27 years. So I had, this was a way to kind of bring a lot of that, what I have experience with, and learn new things. So that's what I hope to get out of it, is to better understand the process and just to see how all this works.
Thank you. Did all of you get in, and hopefully as we get more comfortable on Zoom and with each other, we'll have just a bit of a more flow instead of like kind of that facilitated calling on people. So feel free to kind of jump in, or if it works for us, we can do our hand raise or use the chat, whatever you're comfortable with. Did you guys get an opportunity to check out the website and see where our documents are held? I'd sent that as part of the agenda, but I don't know, I didn't call it out in the email, so I wasn't sure if you had an opportunity to look there. And I also sent the city charter that talks about districting. If you haven't had a chance to read that, it's really helpful because it brings everything, the history of where it started and all the rules around what we're doing kind of to the forefront of your head, which I find helpful because there are some specific rules, timelines, and things that we have to accomplish. And it's important that we stay on time throughout the entire process, which was really hard last time, but we started early. And so we were able to do that. So that was definitely a benefit. I'm going to drop this link to the website in the chat for all of you in case you missed it. My internet is going like crazy right now. Everyone's home watching Netflix, and so I'm losing my bandwidth. And just so you guys know, all of everything that's in the chat also will be part of the official notes. So anything you put in the chat will be on our website, public record, along with these videos. There's no question of what we do and what we talk about. So I had sent all of you a background and with the charter and a timeline of how we have to do things. The first thing on our list to do is to decide who our 9th member is going to be, and that person gets to be appointed by you as a body. So how our last commission chose to do that was they had a discussion, chose their top 3, brought their top 3 in for an interview, and then decided by vote. Simone, if you remember it differently, please correct me, but that's what my notes suggested as well when I went back last week. So I'm open to suggestions on how you would like to see this process go. One kind of unique thing about this commission is I'm your staff, but most of the work and decisions are driven by you. It's not a recommending body, it's a decision-making body as far as districts go. So that's a bit different than our other boards and commissions that you guys might have experience working with or on. Does anyone have any questions?
I do. Is for this 9th member, do we need to consider things like what district they may be in, geography, that type of stuff, or are we free to select amongst any of the others who had applied?
We still have to consider geographic diversity, and geographic diversity is decided on by this group. So you just have to come to a consensus that whoever you select doesn't mess with the geographic diversity that already exists, which the council approved in January, the end of January. And then they can't be an elected official. They have to live in the city, and those kind of more traditional regulations. Are there any more questions? I see we have a guest, Anna. Welcome to our guest. Hello there. That's fun. All I see is big eyes.
So Nicole, I've got the document that you sent with all of the other applicants. Will you, do you have a list of them that's already been typed up, or are we going to go through each applicant that was in that document that you sent?
My plan was to go through them,
Okay.
and I was hoping that you guys had reviewed them and maybe had a few ideas of who you were thinking of, so we could start the conversation with. I guess what we can do is start the conversation with, is there anybody that you would like to bring to the floor as a nomination?
I'd like to talk to a couple of people.
Okay.
Let's bring them in. The two that stood out to me were David T. Lotz and Dan McGivern. Based on the information that was in the packet and the application packet, I think they're both from District 2 or District 1. So that might throw that for a loop. Yeah, District 2, it looks like.
And so I think we have 2 or 3 people on this commission that represent the 2nd district. Is that?
I guess just 2, yeah.
And I thought from District 1, Shelley Whitcop looked like a good nomination. She's very active, did Northwest Neighborhood and a bunch of other community-minded things, National Night Out, Monte Cristo Awards, Friends of the Library. So she's somebody I'd like to discuss as well.
Sorry, my computer has decided to not respond, so I am staring blankly into the camera because I'm trying to move this stuff around.
I didn't see anything in the charter, but potentially would there also be an opportunity to have another call for applicants if we wanted to go that route?
We could do another call for applicants. I would be concerned that could potentially impact our timeline, but it is possible.
Okay.
Nicole, can you remind me again what our current geographic diversity is? Like, what's our breakout in terms of district to district?
Yeah, I can pull up the map for you, and I'll share that as soon as my computer decides to. That's just how it goes, isn't it? Like as soon as you have something that is being recorded or going to be on the website, then everything stops working. It's just kind of the way it happens, I think.
Yeah. And then while you're pulling that up, I had two applicants that really stood out to me. Angela Pioli, I think she's District 4, and Kelly Fox, District 5. I liked that both of them had a lot of experience living here and kind of each had their own something different that separated them from other candidates. And then I think from what I remember of what our geographic diversity is right now, 4 and 5 are a little less represented. So it might make the most sense for us to consider our last applicant to be from one of those districts.
Yeah, Angela Pioli was one of the ones that I had on my short list as well. She's District 4, and I loved that she spoke to Everett's growth over time and how she's been a part of the city even as Boeing was coming online. And that's something that I just feel like it's a very different voice that would be represented on the commission. The other person that I had on my short list, my only reservation, he's also in District 2, is Jacob Parks. He has a very big technical background, and he's also been involved in technical background. That is my 11th month old chiming in. He also has a technical background as it relates to districting, which I found very interesting. I think that there are new tools out there that I don't have familiarity with. My background is not on the quantitative side of the data house, and I think that would be interesting to have on the commission as well.
Angela was on my list as well. And I also noted she was from District 4. So
Yeah, Angela was on mine as well.
Are there any more that stands out to you right now? I've got David Lotz, McGyver. That's not his last name. I think Jared, you
it's McGivern. Yeah.
Guyver. Wouldn't that be a fun last name though? Shelley Watcom, Angela Pioli, Kelly Fox, and Jacob Parks. Did I miss anybody?
If District 3 is similarly underrepresented, I think that, I don't know if I'm saying it right, Paola Herrera and Dale Larson III were intriguing ones to me as well.
Paola Herrera, and who was the second one?
Dale Larson III.
And I have the map loading, thinking. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. And it's going to be a weird size, so you guys will have to tell me what you see. So here is just a map of Everett, and your addresses are not mapped here, but this is our newest map that includes the most recent annexations that we have done. This came from Erica yesterday. So this map is a little bit different than the one that we reviewed for City Council, because that one didn't include our most recent annexations. So I will send this all out to you as well to have. And then I'll do a new share here. Oh gosh. Maybe. Oh, I'm sorry, everyone. My internet is really being a pain in the butt. So frustrating. Okay, this isn't gonna load, so let's move on and I'll keep working on that as it goes. So do you want to call in our 8 nominations and ask them to come to a meeting, or do we want to take this time to narrow those 8 down? And I'll keep working on this map. I could also reach out and see if they still have interest in participating. And then if the answer is yes, invite them to the next meeting, and we can figure out what that interview schedule would look like.
I think if District 2 is already represented, which I think we are, maybe we should just take the people out of that district and then look at the other ones that were underrepresented. If you guys are all okay with that, then we don't have so many people to interview.
I think that's a good plan. I think we should certainly talk to Angela. It looks like there was a lot of interest there. So I think that she should make it to the forefront of folks we're going to interview if she's still willing to participate.
Yeah, I agree with that as well.
Me too.
I think sometimes less is more, and that might take a lot of extra time if we have so many to look at.
I didn't recognize any of the names from District 2 though, so I'm kind of concerned about not, since I haven't had a chance to look them over carefully, I kind of would like to leave them in and take another look at them though and hear from them if we thought they were worth considering. I did knock them out just because, I mean, in District 2 was big. I mean, being from Port Gardner versus being from Pinehurst is a totally different thing.
Right. So Shelley is the one I recommended, and Shelley Whitcop. She used to be Shelley Ware, and that's when I knew her, way when I lived out on Wetmore, and she was the president of the Northwest Neighborhood Association. So I know who she is, and I work with her. So I thought she'd be a great candidate. And she's in District 2.
So looking at our current composition, we have 3 people from District 1, 2 people from District 2, 1 person from District 3, 1 person from District 4, and 1 person from District 5. So I think as opposed to having districts 1 and 2 ultimately having over half, like having a significant like advantage essentially of representation on this, we should really just consider 3, 4, and 5 since they each only have 1. I think that makes a lot of sense.
I would second that. Thank you for those comments, Simone.
Still concerned that District 2 is so big that knocking them out just seems, I mean, like I say, somebody from Port Gardner is so totally different than Pinehurst. To not consider the breadth of geography of District 2 seems. And you can see both the folks, thanks for bringing up the map there. Both,
yes, sorry about
both
that.
the folks from
everyone.
District, or the 3, actually it looks like, well, the 2 folks from District 2 are both in the north end of that district.
And something else to keep in mind is that though different districts might look geographically different in size, they're all relatively the same in population. So the size of it might not necessarily count as much as that, they each are representative of the same amount of people. So having multiple for one district and still only having one for others, I just think that's an equity issue. So as much as we can, we should really aim to do 3, 4, or 5 and have a second representative there instead of having, potentially adding a third to District 2. And I mean, it would be 4 for District 1, and that's too much.
And I want to call out that Alessandra is mapped on this map and not Susan, because this is the only map that would open. So for whatever reason, my computer's decided it's going to do what it's going to do. So I just want to call that out. Although Susan, you're in District 1, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And probably kind of right smack in the middle of it.
So does that mean, Nicole, that there's only actually one person from District 2?
So that first little green dot in District, or purple dot in District 2 would have been Alessandra. And that person was replaced by Susan, who is in the center of 1. So we have 3 from 1, 1 from 2, 1 from 3, 4, and 5. I believe that is accurate.
Nicole, I actually have a quick question. So in my experience with working with census data, it's actually a relatively simple process to be able to parse it out and see a population distribution. And I think to contribute to some of these conversations, are we going to have access to those types of maps, or is that something that the commission would need to create?
Oh, yeah, I can answer that question. So we will, after we select our 9th member, the next order of business will be selecting a districting master, and they will, they kind of dig through all of that data and create those maps and bring presentations that you request. If you go back to that site that I dropped in the chat, there's a link on the left-hand side of that page that says Historic Commission or History of Commission or something like that. And if you click on that, you can actually go back through the entire process and all the data that was analyzed by the districting commission the first time. But obviously that data was, 10 years, almost 10 years old when we evaluated it. So, and part of the interesting thing about districts is you really have to use census data. You can take into consideration other data, but your priority information is supposed to come from the census.
No, that's helpful. Thank you. I was just curious. And I'll actually, that will be on my to-do list this week, is to go back through the data that was requested and what they used to create this map, because I think that is a part of our discussion here.
And I believe there's about 21 to 22,000 people in each district. And what was the deviation, Simone? Like
0.25 or
Yeah.
2.5, a plus or minus.
Yeah. So hopefully that answered your question.
Yes, thank you.
So I'm hearing that maybe we bump District 1 off of the list, keep districts 2, 3, 4, and 5. Call those people in for our next meeting, and then you guys can interview them. And I would like to pre-write the questions so everybody gets asked the same questions. And we could do that in 2 meetings. We could schedule 2 meetings, and maybe that will give people an opportunity to fit it into their schedule. And then if you're comfortable, I can draft questions that will be similar to what was on the application. So it's just like kind of an opportunity to hear them talk through some of that information that they already provided. And then I can send those out and ask you for feedback. And if you feel very passionately about asking one question or another, I can weigh that with you and and figure it out and then send out new questions, suggestions, or good, bad. You're muted, Scott.
Sorry, it looks like if there are actually 2 people from District 2, then yeah, I'd be actually okay if we wanted just want to narrow it down to 3, 4, or 5. If there had just been 1, I was more concerned about that.
Okay. Are we comfortable with just 3, 4, and 5 then as a group? I see a lot of head nodding. Someone really wants to object, please step in now, or I'm going to assume yes.
I think that's fine.
And does that process of questions work for everyone? I'll just go based off of what the application said and bring them in. It's usually more comfortable for people that way to kind of talk about what they've already put in writing. It can be nerve-wracking, I know. Okay, so that's great. So that was easy. Thank you, everyone. I'll get on that and you'll hear from me early next week. The next thing I want to do is nail down either the next 2 meetings. If you want to split these interview into 2 potential meetings, we could have 2 1-hour meetings or a longer meeting and kind of give them 30-minute slots to come in, or however you want to do that, and pick a time and a date that's going to work for everyone. Because another thing about this commission is it's really important that everyone is at every meeting. So we can schedule the next meeting as impromptu as well, but I'd like the 3rd meeting beyond to be every other Tuesday at 3 o'clock or whatever reoccurring series we choose. Thank you, Simone.
For our next meeting, I guess we could maybe give since we have, I think, 4 people will be interviewing, 3 or 4 people, we could give them 2 options. But then that means that we have to have 2 more meetings before we have our 9th member. So does anyone have any opposition to us just offering one next meeting time for our next person? And if someone's not able to make that, they can submit like a video of them answering the questions or a written statement for us to read. And then we just do the best that we can to ensure that we don't have any bias for or against someone based on how they choose to be interviewed.
I think that works very well.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I like that.
And then as soon as we have our 9th member, the clock starts for 90 days to select a districting master, which the last time we did this actually proved to be rather difficult. Many people that do districting work kind of are in this area anyways, are maybe like a college professor and they volunteer, which makes it really difficult to, the kind of accountability piece can be hard when you have volunteers. And then I did reach out to our previous districting master and asked if he was potentially interested in coming back to work with us, if you guys wanted to bring him for an interview. And he said that he was available and had capacity to work with us. I did do like a quick search to see if there was anything new that I didn't exist 2 years ago. Not much. So I'll do a deep dive on that and email you out some recommendations or places to look so that you guys can kind of do your own reading and research to figure out what you want to do for the districting master. We did also 2 years ago, when we were kind of really narrowing it down and we didn't have a lot of options, we also entertained the idea of potentially having a city staff member who works in data, like Erica Spencer, Scott, and the planning team, potentially pull those numbers and run those maps for us as well, since they're the ones that check our work. But that also is not part of their scope at this time. And so that would have to be kind of a supervisor question, but it was one of the out of the box ideas that we discussed the last time that we did this process.
Nicole, do you know if the county has redrawn precinct boundaries yet?
I believe they're, yes, because it went to court. They didn't finish on time, so ended up at the Supreme Court, I believe. Oh, precincts.
Yeah,
Just
precincts. Yeah.
I didn't see that come through, Scott, but I can check.
Yeah, we can check with the county auditor. I think that might be good to know, especially could that impact us if we have to wait on them to finish that work? Or could we influence that work if there was some area that we thought was really important to include in one district or another?
Yeah, I can reach out. I think that they probably were waiting for the census data before they do their precincts, but I don't know if that's true or not because I didn't follow their process particularly closely. Any other comments on that? It's just kind of a heads up for all of you so you can follow along with kind of how the process worked, at least last time. Great. So I think the next order of business then is selecting when our next meeting will be, and then the following one. So I'd like to schedule the next two, and the third one should be a reoccurring series if the second one can't be, if that makes sense.
And last year, Simone and Nicole, did you meet every week, every other week? What worked for last year's schedule?
We met bi-weekly for a short amount of time, and we met monthly. And
Okay.
then in the summer, we met basically 1 or 2 times a week because we had a lot of
much to get done.
decisions to make. And then we're also required to host a community meeting in each district and a meeting at large. And
Okay.
those are kind of crunched into a small window of time. And so, yeah, August, I think we met every 3 days for I think almost all of August, we met every couple days. It won't
Okay,
be that
great.
intense this time, but it will be close, I think.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. If Thursdays are a good time for all of you, today worked, so I'm going to start there. We could have our next meeting on March 10th, and that would give our applicants 2 weeks to clear their calendars and find time to come in.
Sounds good to me. And then as long as we just give them like any time within 5 and 7, whatever works for them, or whatever alternate option works for them, I think that would work great.
And we think 30 minutes, or do you want to cut it down to a 20-minute interview? I think most of the people who called you 15-minute conversations were probably about what our council spent.
So I think it looks like we have four people that we'd be interviewing.
I have 5, but I might have mislabeled somebody.
I think we should shoot for 15.
15 minutes.
Yeah.
15 minutes and a slight buffer. Okay. And I saw Jocelyn tell me less time than 30 minutes. So I believe that's
Yes.
what your
I
hand.
think 15 is perfect.
Great.
30 minutes seems like a long time, and it probably would stress them out. It stresses me out thinking of listening to one person for 30 minutes.
I like that. I like that a lot. So we'll do 15-minute interviews on March 10th from 5 to 7. And I'll try not to spread them out. I'll try, if I can get everyone close together, I'll try to do that so that we don't end up waiting for a half an hour for someone to come in, but also I will try to make time for everybody too. So if we end up having to take a break and come back, then that'll be okay. Okay, cool. So then we could do our next meeting either on following that for a decision, either on March 24th or 31st, and then resume the second Thursday of the month as our regular meeting schedule, and then add additional ad hoc meetings when they're needed.
Twenty-fourth would work for me.
24th work for everyone?
Yeah, it was.
That works for me.
Sounds
I
great.
was gonna say yes to the 24th and no to the 31st. I was just gonna type it in, but yes to the 24th for me.
Yeah, it works.
Oh, you guys are just, I'm not going to say it because I'm going to jinx myself. Okay.
I was gonna say, this might be the easiest month to schedule, and then we start getting tricky.
Well, we know now though that at minimum, we're going to meet the second Thursday of the month. So you can mark your calendars out. And then if we need to schedule an ad hoc meeting, I'll send out a doodle poll or something and work with you all to make sure that I can get at least, 8, if not 9 of you in the room. We did pretty good the last time. We were able to get almost everybody at every single meeting except for maybe 2 or 3, and we met for a year and a half. So it's possible if you're committed to it enough to do the scheduling part. So our next meeting will be the 24th. The 10th. We'll host interviews, and that will be a regular meeting, and I'll post that schedule on the website. So these meetings are open to the public, so we could have somebody enter our Zoom call and just sit and listen. There also could be people who called in just to listen on the phone. And like I said, they'll be posted online. Another question that we don't have to answer today, but I would like everyone to mull around is how and if and when you want to accept community comment throughout the process. If you want to provide time at the beginning of meetings or email only, people can also call me and I can, type it up if they don't have access to a computer. The previous commission opted to only accept public comment in writing until the community meetings. And that's when they wanted everyone to come and give their input at once. And that worked for them, but we can do it however you as a group want to do it.
Worked for the previous committee and seems like it'd be a good practice again.
I agree.
So if anyone reaches out for now, if there's no objections, I'll let them know that as of now, we're accepting public comment in writing, and I'll email that out to all of you. And then if you decide you want to do it differently at a point, you can let me know and we'll revisit that conversation. Okay. Let me check my agenda. I think that was like all the material I needed to get through today, which is meeting schedule, commissioner selection process we've done. Hopefully you all had a chance to look at the timeline that I sent. Might keep that front and center of your districting work as it lines out, the timeline. I think I sent it to you all, and all of the first emails that I sent you, I sent a timeline too, just to kind of draw your attention back to the importance of being on time throughout this process. You have the charter, you have the website, I have my next steps, and we have our group that we want to interview. So if there are no questions or comments or additions, then I think we can adjourn early this evening. Scott likes that. As a city council member, Scott never got to leave before 7:30 or 9 o'clock at night, I think, at an evening meeting. We also have to select our chair, and that will come up after we select our ninth member as well. Okay, so I'll email notes to you. I'll send questions to you. And I will see all of you on the 24th.
Alrighty, bye.
Sounds good. Thank you. Bye. It's nice to meet you all.
Thank you. Nice to meet you as well.
Thank you,
Nice to
everybody.
meet you.
Bye.